Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Snooze VGC, and I will be your host for this week's money match. Now, this money match, as you recall, is between Matthew Jackson and Joshua Meekum. Their player cards are once again on the screen for you to familiarize yourself with who they are. I'm very excited to get this match going. I've talked to them both, and there may have been some trash talk. Matthew, aka Swaggy McBuckets, has been saying he's ready to make some easy money off of Josh this week. So hopefully he can come through with that. We'll see if he can make that easy money. Josh has not been doing much smack talk. I'm assuming he's going to let his Pokemon do the talking for him. So we're going to throw up their teams right now before we get into the match. Josh is using Metagross, Amoonguss, Zapdos, Heatran, Lele, and Landorus. Now, I haven't seen too much Heatran lately. I wonder if he has any secret techs with that. Something that maybe he's trying to counter, especially with so much Incineroar around with low kick. You would think that maybe that wouldn't be the best choice. While as Matthew is running a Porygon 2 Mimikyu Mimilax team with Incineroar and Tapu Fini and Mega Manectric, I'm assuming that's the only Mega that he can have on his team. These two look like they have some techs. Matthew going with more of a standard, it seems like, while Josh is using something that is also standard, but it looks like off the cuff. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. Now, Matthew looks like he's really being serious about this. He's even looking at the stats of his team, looking at the moves, probably really thinking about what he's going to do against Josh, which is very, very smart. Now, you don't really see this in competitive official league play. You don't often see players on stream looking through their team, looking through their mons, and really analyzing what they're going to do. I really commend Matthew for that. That is something that I think is a very good skill to have for any player, is to, even though you may know your sets, you may know your team, to still go through, to still look at what they may have, and to assess how you can best beat the opposing player's team most effectively. He's locked in. He's looked at everything that he thinks he needs to, while Josh is also taking his time really thinking it over. Now, it may only be $20 on the line, but that's $20 that you could use to buy food or dinner or whatever you want for the next day. So this is something that I feel like is still just as serious as any competitive team and any competitive match, because there is a risk on the line, which is something that I love about money matches, and this is why I love doing it. Josh looks like he is taking it down to the time, to the second. He spent every opportunity thinking about what he can do. We're going to get into it. I'm excited to see what they're going to lead. I'm assuming that Matthew's going to lead something with Mimikyu, maybe Mimikyu and Incineroar. I'm trying to get Trick Room up, get Snorlax in Belly Drum, and go from there. Josh doesn't really have a whole lot to deal with Trick Room. Now, maybe the Heatran is slow, but it probably won't do much. Now, he did lead the Incineroar and the Fini, which he could easily go for a Calm Mind, Fake Out Calm Mind, Intimidate going off, and the, Psychic Terrain, okay. I'm waiting for the Intimidate to come from the Incineroar. It has to. So many abilities going off right now. There it is, okay. The Intimidate from the infamous, the greatest Pokemon ever created, Incineroar. Looking at these two leads, Psychic Terrain is not up. If I was Matthew, I would go for a Fake Out Calm Mind. Now, I don't know what Matthew's thinking. This is just from my perspective. He could have an opportunity here to make a move that maybe might put him ahead. He doesn't go for the Fake Out. That is very interesting. Probably just wanting to maybe get the KO on the Lele, take care of it while he can. Incineroar actually taking barely half. That's actually pretty impressive. Oh, Swagger Fini. That is very interesting. So this seems to be less of a setup, Tapu Fini, and more of a support. Swaggering his partner and Misty Terrain, giving it ×2, and just destroying things. This is something that I honestly would have expected from Matthew, but would not have expected if I was playing from him. He comes up with very creative sets, very interesting to watch, and I love that about Matthew. He's such a creative player, which I think puts him ahead of a lot of others. Being able to use those off the cuff abilities and and strategic advantages to put him ahead in the game and maybe get a game 1, put him ahead for the game 2. Josh is going to go straight for the flinch here. Rock Slide. I wonder if he thought he would take out the Incineroar. Seeing that it was below half. But always good to get the flinch. Now Psychium Z being out of terrain is something that is still to be feared. I mean, this is the most powerful psychic move in the game. Nothing to be messed with. Just gonna go for a huge chunk on this Tapu Fini. He is just not gonna have that. Wow. That is, I honestly did not think that would pick up the Fini, and I'm very impressed. It makes me wonder if Josh's Tapu Fini is very specially invested. Maybe some people have been running the bulky spreads to combat all the fast, heavy hitters that are around. So maybe he just went for a straight offensive set, just wanting to pick up KOs with that Psychium Z. Now this is what I thought Matthew was going to do in the first place. Lead one of his Trick Roomers and get a Trick Room up. Now I don't know if he is afraid of setting up Trick Room, if Josh has something that Matthew's afraid of. The only thing I can think of is that Heatran. But beyond that, I think he needs to set up Trick Room here. I think he needs to get Trick Room up, get the speed advantage, put it in his favor, and then just start doing damage. Landers goes for the superpowers. Okay, so we've seen Earthquake, Rock Slide, Superpower, and I'm assuming it's probably just going to be a standard set, so I'm assuming U-Turn is going to be there. Assault Vest variant, obviously, and a Taunt. Man, Lele with Taunt is actually something that I think is very underrated. It's not very expected on Tapu Lele. You usually think, with Metagross and Lele, it's going to be a Psychic, a Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, or maybe a Thunderbolt, and Protect, something to be offensive. But Taunt is a very clutch move to have on a Tapu Lele, something that can really shut down those Trick Roomers, those setup Mons, and something that can really offset your opponent. Now, Matthew here really needed that Trick Room. He needed to get it set up. He needed something to get going. That's right, he has the Amoonguss. Now, I can see why he didn't want to set up Trick Room with the Amoonguss in the back. That is probably one of the best counters to a Trick Room team is Amoonguss with Spore, and some even run Clear Smog with all the Belly Drum Snorlax around. I myself ran an Iron Ball Amoonguss for the first part of the season to combat Trick Room, and it did wonders for me. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that on Josh's team here. He switches out the Lele to bring in the Heatran, probably to take whatever move was going to come at the Lele. Now he needs to protect that Lele. So switching in the Heatran there to take the either return from the Snorlax or the Ice Beam from the Porygon 2 was an excellent move on Josh's part. You can tell that he is making the correct switches here, that he is letting the Mons go down that he needs to. Now Landorus had done its job. It had taken care of the attack power of the Incineroar and also countered it in a way where the Incineroar was pretty much crippled from the beginning. And he just left it in there to do damage, got the free switch into Amoonguss, and gave him the opportunity to have a very strategic and safe switch in from the Lele to the Heatran. Now the Heatran here is probably just going to go for damage while the Amoonguss supports. There is not much that neither of these Pokemon can do, especially with Porygon 2 running Frustration. It doesn't look like it has Ice Beam, so it can easily take those moves from both of those Mons, giving Heatran the ability to just start doing damage. Now here, since the terrain has gone down, Spore, I think, is almost imminent. He can just start sporing Matt's team and then just do damage with it. I'll be very surprised if I don't see the Spore, mostly because I think at this point it is the best move, especially with Trick Room being imminent. He goes for the Protect. I wonder if he just thought that they would just double into it. Now I mean that was a great prediction. Spore, I think, would have been a good move, but maybe preserving Amoonguss is going to be able to set him up in a way where he can take maybe one... Oh, he's actually slower, so that is... He's either speed tying with that Snorlax, or he's using, like what I mentioned before, is an Iron Ball. Yeah, he probably knew that he could take at least one frustration and get it back with the berry. I think the Protect was the smarter move on Josh's part. I think Spore would have been good, but now that Amoonguss is in Trick Room, he can easily dominate the support role and just Spore and Rage Powder while Heatran does the damage. The Overheat there, just taking care of the Porygon too. He doesn't care about it at this point. He has the Lele in the back, which, as you can see, he's going to switch out into right now. And he probably is just going to Spore the Snorlax or Rage Powder, and then it's over for this Snorlax. Matthew played a really good game, and Josh just was able to get set up from turn 1 in a way where he could control the momentum for the rest of the match. I think if Matthew could get Trick Room up and get Snorlax in a little bit quicker and get that Belly Drum up, that maybe he could have a better chance of beating the Amoonguss. Because if he can get a Belly Drum up before the Amoonguss comes in, and then can start doing, +6 frustrations, then there's really not much he can do. But it looks like that this Amoonguss is using Iron Ball, which in that case not setting up Trick Room is the best move for Matt. That's just such a tough matchup for something like Mimilax when you have a very, very slow Amoonguss with Spore and Clear Smog to just shut down your setup sweeper. There's just not much you can do about it. And so, I mean, maybe Matt, he might be thinking about his next moves for the next game, what he can lead, what he can do about it. But I just don't think that there is much that Matt can do here. I mean, Snorlax is a monster, but Amoonguss can just wall it. It can just Spore it and Rage Powder and just let the partner attack. So we're just gonna see if Matt wants to play it out, what he wants to do, and maybe he's just buying time to think about his next moves. I mean, there is no round timer with the money matches, obviously, so you can take as much time as you want. You can stall that out. There's no limitations to how much time you can take, which it looks like Matthew's he's gonna use all the time that he has. Maybe he's gonna try to stall out this Psychic Terrain and just kind of recycle his way to victory. But with that defense drop, it might make it a little harder. The RNG has played a role in both of their favors. Now, turn 1, Matthew missed his Swagger onto his Incineroar, and then he correctly predicted the Tapu Lele to switch out or protect, or basically just to be a neutral slot, and attacked the Landorus. Now, with that +2, it wouldn't have KO'd the Landorus, but a +1 Incineroar is a lot scarier than a -1 Incineroar. But then on the opposite side, Josh had some unlucky misses onto Matthew's Snorlax. So I don't know which one would have mattered the most. Obviously, that was a factor in the game, but it looks like Josh was still able to come out on top. Matthew really played it well. I think he could have made some more optimal moves, maybe some better leads, and that could have set him up for a better end game. I think the end game is really what Josh is playing well here. He has an excellent end game strategy. He knew he needed to preserve the Lele, because the Lele would be able to deal with the Snorlax way better than the Heatran. It was also just such a great coverage for Lele to switch into the Heatran, and the Heatran to just take care of what it needs to take care of. Josh really was good at identifying his threats, identifying what he needed to do to take care of them, and how to play the end game. I really think that was excellent on Josh's part. So We're going to just jump straight into game 2, turn 1. Now, Matthew and Josh, looks like they switched up their leads a little bit. It looks like Josh substituted Lele for Metagross, and it looks like Matthew substituted Incineroar for his Manectric. Now, he still has the ability to Intimidate, which is going to be very, very crucial. I think he might just protect this turn. He wants to get the Intimidate off onto that Metagross when that Metagross Mega evolves, because that will infinitely help his case towards defeating the rest of Josh's team. Josh's team, when intimidated, can really struggle. It has a couple physical attackers, which, as we know, with an Intimidate, makes them not as scary. And especially for Matt's team right now, where he has some bulky Mons, if he can lower those attack stats, that there's really nothing he can do to stop. He really wants to get that Snorlax set up. I feel like that is his goal this game, is to get Snorlax set up and to just sweep under Trick Room. I guess. So he is protecting, wanting to get the Mega on the next turn, but it looks like Josh read into that. Now Josh, he's just playing this game so well. I've been very impressed with his turns, with his moves, his strategic switching, and getting himself in the good end game position. Now Matt, he either has to Mega Evolve or he has to switch out into something. Either way, this Metagross is not going to get intimidated. He still has a full Metagross, and then he still has an Assault Vested Landorus that can take another move. I mean, unless this Manectric has HP Ice, it's going to be able to get one more move off before going down to the Finny. Here comes the Mega. Yep, there's the clear body, which is really disappointing because you really want to get the Intimidate off on Mega Metagross. It is so good in this meta right now, and there's really nothing stopping it, especially with Psychic Terrain. Those Zen Headbutts are doing massive, massive amounts of damage. And Volt Switch coming out. Oh, might be a really good play. He might just bring in the Incineroar. Yes, that is an excellent play on Matt's part. I did not think of that. I would not have thought about that, actually, if I was playing in Josh's shoes. The Intimidate, he does get the Intimidate on. Very, very, very smart, critical thinking there on Matt's part, being able to assess the situation and knowing that he needs to get the Intimidate on that somehow, even if it means a Pokemon goes down. The Incineroar does go... Oh, no, it holds on. Okay, this is where I'm saying the Intimidates are paying dividends here, giving the Incineroar the ability to stay in this game and now even get a Fake Off out. He does go for the Scald, trying to get the burn. Does not get the burn, obviously because of Misty Terrain. He wouldn't have gotten a burn anyways. But he can easily fake out the Landorus here and go for another Scald. He might switch into the Lele to stop the fake out potentially on the Metagross. But I don't know if it's really worth the risk on Josh's end to switch into the Lele. Okay, switches into the Zapdos. Probably wanting to preserve that Intimidate for himself and then protects on the Metagross. There comes the Fake Out. Onto the Landorus and the Scald. Wow, that was excellent read on Matt's part. Excellent read on Matt's part. Probably predicting the Lele to come in, and if that did happen, he wanted to get some damage on it anyways. And if not, that was an absolute perfect read. Getting the burn, doing huge damage to the Zapdos, and now he has himself in actually a really great position to potentially pick something up here. I think he just has to make the right call, and he can put himself ahead in this game too, and potentially bring it to a game 3. So let's see what they do here. Metagross probably bringing out the... Okay, nope, Tapu Lele. I would thought he would bring out the Intimidate. Let's see what he's thinking here. Tapu Fini comes back. Goes out to the Manectric. Probably wanting to soak up that electric attack. Going for the Intimidate. Now, if he had switched into Landorus there to get the Intimidate onto the Incineroar, they would have been intimidated himself. Ooh, okay, Tailwind. Now, Josh probably seeing that he has the Manectric, the Finny, and the Incineroar, probably doesn't have too much of a Trick Room option going on in the back, meaning that going for a Tailwind there was a very safe move, putting him in the head for speed control, giving him way more control on the field and a lot more offensive pressure, because now even the slow mon like Tapu Lele is going to be outspeeding this Manectric and getting the one shot. Now it has not used the Z move yet, meaning that whatever is coming in, if that doesn't protect, is getting hit very, very hard. Looks like they're both thinking about their next move, really wanting to make sure they make the right one. Coming back, and the Finny. Now this is going to weaken the potential just normal Psychic moves on the Manectric. I think a Z move, I'm pretty sure will still pick up the Manectric. That is going to hit the Finny really hard. Now, I don't know if that was so much a read on Josh's part, more of a read of just wanting to do damage to the Incineroar since the Lele cannot. The Z, so, I mean, maybe Matt might have over predicted a little bit there, maybe predicting the Thunderbolt and the Psychic into the Mega Manectric slot, wanting to preserve that, and that ended up biting him in the back because now he is down a Finny and he is down a Manectric, and now he only has a 75% health Incineroar, and I'm assuming maybe the Porygon or the Snorlax in the back, which versus a team of 4 with a Zapdos, a Lele, a Intimidator with Landorus, and then a Mega Metagross is going to be very hard to come back from. I don't think Matt's going to be able to really pull his way out on this one, being a 2v4. But we can see maybe he can get a fake out and a Trick Room up, and that way he can kind of just hit his way out of it, punch his way out of it. I'm not sure what the Mimikyu has. We have not seen the Mimikyu yet, so it's still sort of a mystery. The fake out comes out onto the Lele. Obviously, you want to do whatever you can to get rid of that. And there's the Trick Room. Okay, so Matt is not out of it yet. If he can get a double KO here, he might be able to bring it back with Mimikyu and Incineroar. The Intimidate will hurt it a little bit, but I don't think it's really going to matter all that much. He can't go for a Flare Blitz here. He still needs the Incineroar. I would assume it's probably going for a Darkest Lariat onto the Lele, and then maybe a Play Rough or Shadow Claw into the Zapdos. Just a double protect here. Probably trying to scout out what he's going to do next, and then also burning a turn on Trick Room. If he could stall out the Trick Room, then there's absolutely nothing Matt can do. So Matt needs to do something quick. Both very, very carefully thinking about their next move. This is the point in the game, ladies and gentlemen, where you need to make the correct call. If you make the correct call, you win, and if you don't, you lose. There is no black and white at this point of the game. You need to make the right call, and Matt really, really wants to make that right call. You can tell he's going over what possible switch-ins may happen, what he can try to do to predict it, or what is basically the safest move. Now, let's see if Matt was able to make the correct move, get a double KO here. With that Intimidate, it's going to be very hard on that. There's the knockoff. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, the crit. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. He gets the crit. The moon. Oh, the Mimikyu is faster than the Tapu Lele. The Mimikyu is faster than the Tapu Lele. Oh no, that is... That is not what you wanted to happen. Oh no. If he would have known that, he would have made a completely different play. This is where conserving information and knowing information really, really matters. Oh no, that's the game. That's the game. Mimikyu is a very, very good Pokemon. Still has the skies up, full HP, but versus these two Mons, I just don't think it's possible to do. I just don't think it's gonna happen. I may be able to take out the Metagross with a Shadow Claw. He may still be in this. I have hope for Matt. I really would like to see this go to a Game 3. This has been really, really close. Really fun to watch. The burn on the Zapdos. Oh, the Metagross is so close. This is where the point where your heart gets racing. Okay. Now if he made the right read here, oh, he goes for the Z move. That makes sense why it's a fast Mimikyu then, with the Z move on it. Some don't run the Z move and they're very slow, but usually the ones that have the Z move are faster, so they can pick up just the KO on the Lele, which does make sense to run a fast Mimikyu. But man, it really, really just didn't have it set up well enough this time. If that had been a slower Mimikyu, he probably could have won this, taken it to a Game 3, and potentially won, the $20 wager. But just being so fast and under Trick Room really bit him in the butt that time. And with only one more turn of Trick Room left, all Josh has to do is double attack here, and I think that's going to be it. Burn. Zapdos still probably looks like it has about 2 turns left on the burn. So it has Shadow Claw and Trick Room. We haven't seen Play Rough or Protect or anything like the sort, or maybe even Will-O-Wisp. If he has Protect here, he may be able to Protect and let the burn take care of the Zapdos. This is the moment where champions are made. And the Mimikyu does not have Protect. Ladies and gentlemen, that was your first week's money match back on this big screen. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm very, very, very thankful to Matt and to Josh for playing in today's match. And wow, what a match that was. That was absolutely phenomenal. I had such a great time watching it, and it was fantastic to see what they brought to the playing field that time. Some hacks in the first game, a disconnect in the second game, which is very unfortunate because maybe Matt could have brought it back in that game. And then Game 3, the fast Mimikyu really, really did it in for Matt that time. If that had just been a slow Mimikyu, he would have definitely had more of a chance. Obviously, maybe we don't know. Maybe it was a slow Mimikyu and just a very, very slow Tapu Lele. Regardless, congratulations to Josh for winning the wager and for Matt for putting on a phenomenal show. We hope to see you again next time. And until then, I'm Snooze VGC, and this is Money Matches. See you later, guys.